Hi everyone, I am Trifonia.
Hi all, I'm Wiraningsih.
Hi everybody, I'm Sita Maheswari.
Hello mate, I'm Agus Septiana.
So we are from the group 1. We will present our topic today that is about material development, approach, method, technique, and strategy of teaching. So here are the contents.
This presentation will cover 9 questions. The question number 1 to 3 will be explained by me, Wira.
And then question number 4 and 5 will be explained by me, Agus Septiana.
And then questions number 6 and 7 will be presented by me, Sita Maheswari.
And the next question, number 8 and 9 will be presented by me, Trifonia.
So without any further ado, Wira will start the presentation first. Wira, time is yours.
Question number 1. What is learning material? Learning material can be defined as any instruments that contains information about something being learned. It is used by educators such as teachers, instructors to help and facilitate students in learning and understanding the concept. Learning material as one of the prominent components in conducting effective teaching learning process has several purposes, such as first, it provides assistance for students to achieve their learning objectives as specified in the lesson plan. It also encourages the process of mastering both conceptual and practical knowledge, as well as motivate students since the use of pleasurable and fun learning materials could develop their creativity and engagement. When the students are able to mastering the conceptual and practical knowledge, as well as triggering their creativity and engagement, the learning material contributes on the students' development of critical thinking and problem solving. In general, learning materials can be divided into two, that is, printed materials and audiovisual materials. Printed materials can be found in the form of textbooks, handouts, dictionary, grammar books, and etc. However, audiovisual can be found in the form of maps, charts, then cassettes, or instructional videos. Smart and Jagannathan in 2018 further divided learning materials into 4. First is textbook, the second one teacher's guide, third is supplementary materials, and the fourth one is multimedia and digital resources. Textbooks are the main materials that provide information about subject being learned. However, teacher's guide support the function of the textbooks through instruction and communication. Supplementary materials provide enrichment and support students to move into real life beyond the textbooks. The last one is multimedia and digital resource. Support the other learning materials through presenting information in interactive and collaborative ways. For example, the use of audio and then video, where auditory learners could be best learned through these materials. Based on the previous explanation, we found that learning materials are any instrument that contains information about something being learned, usually used by educators, which can be in the form of printed and digital materials. It has purpose to facilitate students in achieving the learning objective. Therefore, we can say that learning materials is anything used by teachers to enhance the quality of learning as well as improving the students' performance. Question number 2. What are the two classifications of material? Marzano and Kendall in 1996 divide learning materials into two classifications. The first one is declarative knowledge, or by Squire in 1987, defined as the knowledge of knowing what, and the second one is procedural knowledge, or the knowledge of knowing how. Declarative knowledge or knowledge of knowing what can be defined as the knowledge of concepts and information that can be stated verbally. It contains information, concepts, generalization, facts, and others. For example of general facts is that the water is liquid and then the sun rises in east and sets in west. In EFL learning, this knowledge can be in the form of understanding the concept of to be, pronoun, singular and plural noun, mentioning characters in its text, and etc. Marzano's new taxonomy of declarative knowledge are equivalent with the revised Bloom taxonomy of cognitive level 1 to 3, or remembering, understanding, and applying. However, procedural knowledge or knowledge of knowing how can be defined as the knowledge of how to perform a specific skills or task and is considered knowledge related to methods, procedures, or operation of equipment. It contains process skills to accomplish the task through a series of instructions. The example of procedural knowledge in EFL learning is that students demonstrate how asking and giving information in front of the class through role play. This is equivalent with the revised Bloom's taxonomy, cognitive level 4 to 6, or the implementation of higher order thinking skill. This is the illustration of how the application of the two knowledge. So the students are able to know the concept of car can be linked into tires and engines. So the students know the function of tires and then engines are the example of declarative knowledge. And then how these components are assembled to make a car is the procedural knowledge. The question number 3. What are the 4 types of materials? So the declarative and procedural knowledge are developed into 4 types of materials. The first one is facts. The materials of facts are the materials that consist of persons, objects, symbols, historical events, and etc. So the materials of the facts can be in the form of name of object, place and people, historical events, the name of the part or components of an object, and so forth. The second type is concepts. The material of concept are in the form of definition, nature, and the content, such as the definition of learning and the nature of learning. The third type is principle. The principal materials are in the form of formula, postulates, and paradigms. For examples, the formula of simple present tense. And the last one is procedure. The material of procedure types can be found in the step to do something orderly. For example, the steps of finding new word in dictionary, making a phone call, and making a cup of tea. So that's all the explanation of question number 1 to 3, and the next information will be explained by Agus. Thank you.
So thank you, Vera, for the explanation. Now I'm going to continue for the question number 4 and 5. For question number 4, the sources of the materials. In the field of education, the term of learning materials refers to a spectrum of educational materials, and the teacher that the teacher used in the classroom. The materials can be specific for the learning objectives and set out in the lesson plans. This material can be games, videos, flashcard, projects, and many more. So here I have the example of the teaching and learning materials. The first is storybooks. So storybooks can be great teaching and learning materials, as the teacher can read the books to the whole class, and then the student can write a brief essay and then summarizing what is what they found in that book that has been read by the teachers. And the second one is the manipulatives. Manipulatives are physical items such as gummy bears, blocks, marbles, or even small cookies that can assist the students learning. Manipulative, especially helpful in the younger primary grades, where the students can use them to help and solve subtraction and addition of the problems. And the next one is sample of students writing, and this is quite a good learning sources for the students because having students write can be effective teaching method, but students often have difficulty thinking of the topics that were that where the students writing prompts can be useful. Writing prompts are brief partial sentences designed to help the students sparks their idea. Like I admire the most is, or my biggest problem is, or my biggest goal in my life is, and then the students then it going to spark the idea for the students. Next is videos. And speak of current digital age, videos is very helpful learning materials that can offer free educational videos for kids or for adults learner. And the video can help the students to choose the materials that they interested in. And also the website that offer an educational video now on is very plenty of it, and such as the Khan Academy, YouTube, and also some learning website like Ruang Guru and etc. Next is games. Games also can be useful in teaching the students everything from money, grammar to social skills. Such word bingo, for example, can help students learn the basic sight words, but there are also relatively inexpensive bingo games that can teach money skills, English, telling time, and even English grammar. The next cards. Even if today is a digital age or a computer age, flashcard is also very helpful for the student, especially the flashcard as in internet based. The flashcard also can be particularly useful for the students with learning disabilities such as dyslexia. Printing high quality frequency words, also known as a sight word, on front of flashcard with sort of definition on the back can create a good learning tools for students who have auditory or visual learning styles. Next is computer software and application. So in this modern age, learning computer software is very important, and it's also available online. Interactive software programs can help English language learner to study grammar and other elements of the English language. And applications such as for tablet computers and even smartphones offer instruction in everything from foreign language to information on the common core standards as well as university level. And and lessons for students. Many of the apps are free, so the students can use it as much as they want to improve their learning when they are studying English, for example, so they can improve their skill later on. And last but not least is visual aids. Visual aids can be a teaching tool designed for the entire classroom, such as poster showing basic sight words, class rules, or key concept about important holidays or lesson. As stated by Liu in 2005, curriculum's official status, as it provides guidelines and frameworks which indicates that the resources should be selected and applied within this framework, involving goals, basic and also the cultural knowledge. And Howard and Major 2005 also emphasize that the curriculums and the context are variables that will significantly impact on the decision about teaching materials. So many teachers are bound by a mandated curriculum defining the content, skills, and value to be taught. Whether imposed at school or state level, a curriculum outlines the goals and objective for the learners and the course of the study. Next, the material should make the students interested. So in selecting the material, it's it also according to the students' interest can be an important criterion for teaching or learning resource selection. Making students interested in the selected resources is a crucial criterion when selecting this. To get the students interested, teachers need to know the learning levels of the students, the needs of the student, as well as selecting various enjoyable and attractive resources. Next is students' appropriateness. So, according to Rashidi and Safari 2010, learners should be factor taken into consideration when selecting resources. Resource selection, or material selection should be conducted according to the learners in different ways, such as ages, needs, learning styles, and learning abilities. Next is the learning material should be flexible. So to form an effective teaching or learning material, the selected material should be flexible and to offer teachers and the students opportunities for localization, personalization, and choice. It is according to Tomlinson 2012. So to make it flexible enough, first, teacher needs to have selected enough backup materials or resources before the lesson. So, and apart from the flexibility, before lesson, when selecting resources, the selected resources also need to be adjusted flexibly during the teaching process by considering the different situation in the class, which including teaching purposes, students' feedback, time management, classroom management, and also the teaching goal achievement. So that's all from me. For the next material will be explained by Sita Maswari. So Sita, time is yours. Thank you.
Alright, now I will continue the explanation for number 6 and number 7. For number 6, the considerations of selecting learning material. According to Howard and Major in 2006, in selecting learning material, the first thing to do is to encourage the learner's understanding, language features, and also their skills through developing the material for teaching. The learners have different abilities, different learning skills, and different learning interests. So the teacher should concern more about the situation in the classroom, includes the age of the learners, number of class, how the learning process is usually managed, and then the learning styles of the learners. Moreover, the teacher can conduct needs analysis as the guidelines to find out the context. To find out the context, so the material chosen can help the successful learning. After developing the criteria, the teacher can make a checklist which includes the evaluation, the analysis, and then the general as well as the specific useful based on the needs analysis that have been done before. According to Tomlinson in 2011, selecting the learning material includes some principles. The first one is the material should achieve impact. So the student should interest to the material, can get attention on the learners, and then it should be catch the students' motivation. So the students want to learn the material by themselves. The material should help the learners to feel at ease. Of course, the students, when learn something, they should feel comfortable first and then relax to learn the material. So they will understand the material easily based on their motivation. The material should help learners to develop confidence. The material can consist of some activities that help the students to develop confidence. For example, speaking or drilling, or maybe fill in the blank to practice their writing skill, and other fun activities that help the learners to develop their confidence exist. The material should require and facilitate learner self-investment. So here the material is not only to give them the understanding about something or get the new information or knowledge, but also they are asked to facilitate their learning, their self-investment. For example, the material has activity that like a mini project, so they can work in a group, and then they have responsibilities to make decisions with their group. They can work as a team together, so it is good for them when the material have or facilitate self-investment for the learners. The material should expose the learners to language in authentic use. So authentic material, it is important because the students will relate the material in the school, and also with their daily life. So it is very related to each other. The material should provide the learners with opportunities to use the target language to achieve communicative purposes. It is not only about written text, but also oral. So the students try to use the target language as much as possible, so they can practice their speaking skill. They can be they can have a good interaction to the teacher as well as to other students. Yeah, the material hopefully provide the use of target language for the learners. And then next is the material should take into account that the positive effects of instruction are usually delayed. So the teacher should pay attention for this, because sometimes the positive effects of instruction are usually delayed. So the teacher should pay attention and focus on what activities that can make the positive effects exist and appears during the learning process. The material should take into account that learners differ in learning styles, affective attitudes. So here, since the students have different learning process, different learning styles, so the teacher should have or get the material that can catch all of the differences of the learners into one. So all of the learners can learn together, learn from their differences and share their ideas and their thoughts to each other. So it will affect their attitudes to be better in the future. The material should permit a silent period at the beginning of instruction. So a silent period is a way that helps the students to also to develop their confidence, because when the teacher gave the material and then ask the student something and then give time to keep silent first, they will start to develop their ideas, their thoughts, and want to try to share it
to other student. So they will think about what is the language that is appropriate, how they will share it in appropriate way. It also helps them to grow. The material should maximize learning potential by encouraging intellectual, aesthetic, and emotional involvement, which stimulates both right and left brain. So the material is not only use the right or the left brain, but use both of right and left brain activities. One method that is used for this kind of activities is Suggestopedia. So it engages the students to use both right and left brain activities. And then the activities, for example, sing a song. So they will try to think how to pronounce it. They will think what are the lyrics. They will think how they sing it, how the melody of the song, like that. The material should not rely too much on control practice. So it is good for the learners to have a control, to be controlled by the teacher, but also it is not needed to give too much control practice for them. So the teacher can have the material that is just having an explanation, but for the activities, the teacher can ask the students to do by themselves, or freely by themselves. They should share their ideas, their thoughts, their understanding about the materials, their language features, as well as practicing their skills for the material given. So it will work well. The last one is the material should provide opportunities for outcome feedback. So feedback is the most important thing, because when we get the feedback from others, we can grow, we can change our behavior into a good one. We become better based on the others' feedback, others' advice or suggestion to us. So the learners, when get the feedback, they will feel the same. They will grow into better person. Then they will improve their knowledge, as well as they adding so much new information for themselves. Howard and Major in 2006 also states some consideration in selecting the learning material. The first one, of course, the learners. The learners becomes the most important part here, because they are the person or people who receive the material from the teacher. So the teacher needs to do need analysis, as what I said before. So the teacher will know what are needed by the learners during the learning process. Next is the curriculum and the context. So the material, the chosen material should relate to the curriculum that already exists from the government, as well as the context. For example, the context is about asking permission. So the teacher can show videos or can show the material that related to the topic asking permission. The resources and the facilities. Both of resources and facilities are important, because resources as the reference when the teacher can get the material from the internet, besides from their own ideas. And then the teacher can have the facilities, for example, like laptop, LCDs, speakers, something that will facilitate the learning process. So the students will feel comfortable to learn the material, because the facilities are complete enough for them. Personal confidence and competence. So actually this is about the teacher's individual behavior. So when the teachers are confident to deliver the material and understand the material very well, the learners will learn a lot from them. Copyright compliance. It is based on the resources. When the teacher find the material from the internet, don't forget to write the copyright on the paper, because it is also important to make the students know it is not about it is not all of the teachers' ideas, but the teachers can ask the students to find other references, other resources during the learning process. So they are not only learn in one ideas, they can learn from others. The last one is time. Time management is also very important, because time management can help us to manage the material very well when we give the explanation, when we give the activities that related to the material. So it is very important. So we do not waste too much time during the learning process, and we just focus on the topic or the material itself. So based on the considerations that I mentioned before, so the teacher should pay attention more, should concern more for the students' needs, because it is very important. Besides, the teacher also should consider about the facts and the concept of the learning material, so the students or the students can relate all of their knowledge to their daily lives. Next is number 7, the procedures of developing material. Developing material is important because it is like a reflection from the previous material, or a new material that want to be developed by the teacher. A planned and very well articulated learning activity will enhance the learner's self-confidence and self-worth as a result of their learning process. According to Tomlinson in 1998, there are 7 procedures of developing material. The first one is identification, to find a need. Of course, it is like doing needs analysis. So the teacher finds the need of the learners and then identify what should be in the material, what should be out from the material. So the development of the material can be good. Then exploration of the area needs. After identify the needs, we can explore the area needs in terms of language, and then function, and also scale. So those 3 aspects can be used when we, as a teacher, want to explore the needs of the learners. Propose new materials. We can propose new materials from collecting stable sources, from sharing ideas to other teachers, or maybe finding out from the internet. So it will become new ideas for the learners also to learn something new. And then finding out appropriate exercise and activities. It is important because the material given and also the activities should be related to each other. So the teacher should find appropriate exercise and activities to make the learners feel fun, feel comfortable to learn the materials. Considering layout, type size, visuals, reproduction, and length. So it's also important when the teacher write down the material in the book or notes, they should consider about the layout, the size, visual, and the length of the material, so they will have good time management. Students' use of the material. So we can practice after all of the procedures have done, we can practice it to the students, so the students can try the materials, it is successful or not. And then after that, rewriting the materials. It is based on the students' evaluation. When the students are given the materials and then try to practice it, the result or the evaluation will be work as the reference or reflection for the teacher to make or to develop the material. Okay, I think that's all about my explanation for number 6 and number 7. Now for the next material or the next answers will be explained by Katri. Katri, time is yours.
In this part, I will clarify the different terms based on theories and give an example of popular method and technique which can be used to implement the method. In 1963, Anthony formulated a framework to describe various language teaching methods, which consisted of 3 levels: approach, method, and techniques. According to Anthony 1963, an approach is the level at which assumptions and beliefs about language and language learning are specified. An approach is axiomatic. A method is a stage in which theory is developed and implemented. Decisions are made about the specific skills to be learned, the material to be learned, and the order in which the material will be delivered. Technique is the level at which classroom procedures are described. It is purpose of accomplishing the plan and its learning objectives. Some specific activities are proposed to take place in the classroom. Richard and Roger 1982 approach expanded on Anthony's 3-level framework. However, instead of approach, method, and technique, they chose the term approach, design, and procedure. Their concept of approach was similar to Anthony's, but their design and procedure were of broader scope than Anthony's method and technique. An approach refers to the general principles of what language is and how it is taught. An approach to language teaching describes the nature of language, how to acquire the knowledge of language, and the conditions that promote language acquisition. Method is a practical implementation of an approach. It includes decision about the particular skill to be taught, the role of teacher and learners in language teaching and learning, the appropriate procedure and technique, the content to be taught, and the order in which the content will be presented. Procedure comprises the classroom techniques and practices, which are consequences of particular approaches and design. Approach, method, procedure, and technique viewed by Anthony and Richard and Roger can be seen at the following table. Anthony's model consists of 3 main parts: approach, method, and technique. Approach describes theory of language and theory of learning. Method, an overall plan for orderly presentation of language materials. Technique, the actual implementation in the classroom. Meanwhile, Richard and Roger's models consist of approach, design, and procedure. Approach explains theory of language and theory of learning. Design consists of objectives, syllabus type, activity type, learners' roles, teachers' roles, and roles of materials. The last one is procedure. Technique, practice, behavior. Resources refers to time, space, and equipment. Interactional pattern observed in the lesson. And the last one, tactic and strategy used by teacher and learners when the method is being used. Okay class, let's move to the question number 9 about the popular method and strategy to implement the method. Here is an example of teaching strategy for communicative language teaching method. Picture strip story. A strip story was given to one student in a small group. She showed other team members the first pictures and asked them to guess what the second pictures would look like. An information gap existed. Team members didn't know what the picture contained. They had a choice of what their prediction would be and how they would put it into words. They receive feedback, not on the form, but the prediction content, by viewing the picture and comparing their prediction with it.
So that's all our presentation.
Hopefully this video could support your teaching and learning.
Thank you for watching.
Stay healthy and have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.